Hello, I am Minsu Choi, and in this video I want to talk about identity. Identity is one of those difficult words to kind of wrap our brains around, but it's so important in our lives. And working in higher ed for the last 8 years, I talk about identity a lot, especially with our students who are 18 to 22, and they're wrestling through some of these identity issues in their life for the very first time. And I think it's a really, really important conversation to have in college, because when you get to college, you're put into a very new environment. And I think that environment almost induces an exploration and also a lot of dissonance about how we answer the question, who am I? And that's what identity really is an answer to. Who am I? And what does that mean when I put words to the answer to that question? And I think answering the question, who am I, is an incredibly powerful, transformative practice. Now, what are some things about identities that's really, really important to talk about? First of all, the word identity, the singular word, can often be confusing, and it can really, really force us into an uncomfortable place, because the reality is we have a lot of identities. And in fact, we as human beings probably carry with us a dozen or more identities that are strong, that are obvious, that are apparent and at the forefront of our mind, and we can probably rattle off 5 or 6 of them within seconds. For me, I'm a Korean male. I'm 34. I'm in my 30s now. I'm married. I'm a husband and father. I'm a creator. I'm an educator. I work in higher ed. There's so many ways that I can start talking about my identity. But then there's another misunderstanding, which is identities are static. Once you find your identity, it doesn't change. And I think that's a mistake as well, because what I've experienced throughout my life is no matter how confident I am in an identity, or no matter how much I go, I'm not really sure about that, or I didn't really realize that about myself, identities come and go, they shift. And I think throughout our life, we change as a person, we change as people, regularly, and we might be uncomfortable with that idea, because maybe you are really, really into who you are right now, but what I found is that you change. And when there's big things that happen in your life, whether it's really finding the major that you're into, or graduating, or finding someone that you love, or getting married, all of those things change. All of your identity pieces really, really change over time. And I think we're often faced with this question of is who I am today real? Is who I am today true? And I think we have to look at it in both ways. It's a paradoxical thing. There's things about us that are true and that run deep into our foundational core. And then there are things that are less important that will ultimately change or become more nuanced or be more specific over time. And I think that's a good thing. Now, how do we do that? How do we grow as a person? How do we become more aware of our identities? Well, one thing, first of all, is relationally. How are you and who are you relationally? Now, a lot of our identities come from our family, and I think that's really, really important. Your family is never going to change, and so it's ultimately a great source of a solid foundation. Now, one of the most important things that we have to make a distinction about is who are you relationally and who are you individually. We all in this room wrestle with identity, and I think that's really, really important to just remember. And I think it often takes a bit of courage, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it to risk a little bit and be like, hey, let's talk about who I am and who you are, and see where that conversation ultimately leads. Because I think it can create such a cool opportunity to share in something that's meaningful and sacred, and something that can ultimately change, in a little way or a big way, the direction of your life. Getting informed about who you are is one of the most important pieces of the puzzle when you think about future career, vocation, what you're passionate about, what you're great at. So you find that relationally, but individually, it informs you to also talk through some of the things that you care about and that you prefer and that you want to see happen in your own life. The environment of a college really gives you an opportunity to do is explore educationally. So learning and your educational journey is a great way to find pieces of your identity and integrate those things into your life. You know, your college career is where you get to build skills and gain a lot of knowledge and learn a lot about the world and how it operates. You become specialized in your major. You start learning about what you're interested in, what gets you up in the morning, and what makes you curious and makes you wonder. All of those pieces, that curiosity, that wonder, actually informs a deeper sense of, these are the things that I enjoy, these are the things that I really, really like. And those truths, those statements ultimately lead you to a better understanding of your identity. So the very last thing that I'll talk about is college is a place where you will be challenged, because not only is it a new environment, it's a new environment with new people. And these new people, they all have a lot of different ideas about the world, about life, about what it means to be successful, what it means to be happy, what it means to be fulfilled, what it means to be truthful. All of those things are going to be missed if you don't step into that with an open-mindedness and with a level of humility that allows you to learn from different people, no matter who they are, how young or old they are, no matter what. When we talk about identity, what we really, really need is contrast. We need to know where we kind of stand relatively to other people. And I think that's often counterintuitive, right? Because your identity should be immovable. That's who you are. But what I'm talking about is, how do you get your identity formed? How do you get to that place where you know your place? How do you get to that place where you know your lane, you know your DNA, you know how you are wired and how you operate? I think that is one of the most important pieces to all of this. And only way that you really get a great sense of that is understanding who you are relative to other people. I want to make that distinction very, very clear. It's not your identity is formed by other people's opinions or other people's experiences. It's learning about their experiences and their opinions help inform you develop your own. And that's the distinction that I want to make. Ultimately, identity formation is an incredibly transformative journey. It takes a very, very long, and when you think about like a small seed and how it can turn into a giant redwood, that's how we are, I think, in a lot of ways. That's how we are designed. We're not going to understand our identities fully in a short period of time. Anyways, that's really all I wanted to talk about in this video. It's a long video already, but if you have any thoughts, leave a comment below, DM me. I am Min-Soo Choi across all the social media platforms. If you like this video, can you hit that like button? If you want more of these videos to pop up in your feed, please hit that subscribe button. That would be meaningful to me. Anyways, hope you have a wonderful day and hope you have a great rest of your week.